walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule in life that said you're either growing or you're dying. And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion?
It's an honor to have our guest here today. It is Enes Kanter Freedom, who is a human rights activist and Nobel Peace Prize nominee and an NBA star who lost his NBA career for speaking out against human rights violations. Raised in Turkey, Freedom began to call out human rights violations by President Erdogan. Turkey canceled his passport, imprisoned his father, and a $500,000 bounty is on his head. After the opening of every Celtics game was banned in China and Turkey. In many interviews with the art on his Freedom shoes, Freedom has become a voice for the oppressed Turkey, China, Russia, Iran, and many more countries worldwide. Enes, as I said, it's a pleasure and honor and blessing to have you on the show. An individual who has gone through so much and yet achieved so much, overcame so many hardships. Eric, as I said, it's a pleasure and honor and blessing to have you on the show. You're a remarkable athlete and globally recognized human rights advocate. To start, could you share your journey to professional basketball and some of the pivotal moments that helped you reach the NBA?
Of course, Coach. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a great honor. Actually, my journey started when I was a little kid back in Turkey. You know, I actually wanted to be a soccer player, but didn't really work. I was too tall and too small for it.
Say.
Yeah. And then I switched sports to basketball. But growing up in Turkey was a very difficult childhood, because in Turkey, if you are a politician and if you want to be elected again, you do a couple things. You attack America and you attack Americans. And the base is unfortunately so uneducated. They're like, wow, look at our leader. He's standing tall against America. He's standing tall against Americans. Let's vote for him. So that was the case when I was growing up. And I remember I was 9 years old. I went downstairs to play with my friends. And my friends, who are not even teenagers, they were burning American flags. So I just asked one of my friends, what are you guys doing? They said, well, we should hate America. We should hate Americans. They're evil. And they gave me a flag to burn it. They gave me a flag, they gave me a lighter, and they said, burn it. I remember I took the flag and I was like, this is not the right thing to do. I threw the flag down. I ran upstairs to my mom. I was like, Mom, my friends are telling me to hate America. They're telling me to hate Christians, hate Americans. What do I do? My mom said, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but do not hate anyone before you meet them. So that day I gave a promise to my mom. I was like, Mom, I promise I'm not going to hate anyone. 10 years later, I came to America for the first time for basketball. And I started meeting with Americans. I started meeting with Christians. And they inspired me so much. They were so kind and they were so nice. I was like, you know what? Something got to change in the Middle East, because there are millions of kids in the Middle East growing up anti-Semitic, anti-West, anti-American, just because of those hate speeches coming out of those politicians' mouth.
انتقامی از آنها خواهیم گرفت که روزشان را تبدیل به شام سیاه خواهد کرد.
And that's how I got to America, and I started playing basketball for University of Kentucky.
You played for the University
Yep.
of Kentucky?
Coach Cal.
Well, you know, I visited with 14 countries to visit the armed services. I was an officer in the Army. One of the times I was sent to Incirlik, Turkey. I don't know if you know where that is, but what they told me, do not leave the post.
Yep.
Stay on the post. So it verifies everything you've said. Now, leaving your family and home country to pursue a career in the United States, Must have been a huge personal and cultural adjustment. What was that experience like, and how did it shape you both as an athlete and as a person?
Well, I left my family when I was 17 years old because where I grew up, you cannot really play any kind of sports and get your education. But in America, you can do both. You can play basketball and get your education at the same time. So, I left my family when I was 17 years old, and as a teenager, it was tough,
Oh yeah.
leaving your family and going to literally a different continent and across the ocean. And it was tough for me, but, I know for my career, I had to do it. They supported me so much. And also, like, I had so many friends here in the United States that really helped me in my journey. Like people like Coach Calipari and many other ones.
I know John well. How in the world did Kentucky become aware of you and your athletics?
So I was going to this prep school in California, and one day Coach Cal showed up in our practice, and he watched me playing for 5 minutes in my high school, and he was like, I want him. And then after that, I was like, University of Kentucky is one of the best basketball programs
Oh yeah.
in nation. So I was like, after that, it was great to be part of that beautiful school.
Well, you had a great career there, but athletes' careers come with unique pressures
Right.
and challenges, and yours had their share of them. Now, how did you find the resilience to overcome everything that you have? Because you've had more obstacles put in your front of you
Right.
that you've been able to overcome, and that's why people admire you and respect you.
Right. No, that definitely means a lot. So, it was tough because, like, I started to talk about the problems that are happening in my home country, Turkey, and they first, my family publicly had to disown me. And the Turkish government didn't believe that. They sent police to my house in Turkey and they raided the whole house. And they took every electronics away, phones, computers, laptops, because they wanted to find some kind of evidence. And if they would have, they were going to put my whole family in jail. They couldn't find no evidence, but they still took my dad in jail for a while. But we put so much pressure from here in America to Turkey, they had to let him go. And then after that, they revoked my passport. They put my name on Interpol list. Think about it. In their eyes, I am an international criminal, And they try to kidnap me from Indonesia.
So I started speaking out against the Turkish government, and they revoked my passport, they put my dad in jail, and my dad had to put a statement out and saying we are disowning Enes. So, people should feel very lucky and blessed to be in a country like America where there's human rights.
So basketball was my escape. Whenever I was on that court playing basketball with my teammates, it was all about having fun. It was all about winning. It was all about, enjoying the game that I love. But then whenever I stepped off the court, all the crazy conversations began, So all the crazy conversations began. Throughout my whole journey, my teammates definitely helped me a lot, But it was tough, because still till this day, I haven't seen my family or talked to my family over 10 years now. Because if they pick up the phone and have a conversation with me, it's an act of terrorism in Turkish government's eyes, and they will put him in jail. And top of all that, the basketball and NBA gave me a huge platform, and I started to talk about some of the problems that are happening in China. And just because of that, NBA pretty much blackballed me from basketball.
That's because they sell a lot of shoes in China.
Exactly.
And it's all about politics. It isn't about doing the right thing or being honest about it.
The relationship the business relationship between NBA and China is over $6 billion. And more people watch NBA games in China last year than American population. So just like you said, think about the endorsement deals, shoe deals, jersey sales, TV deals. It's a huge contract, and NBA didn't want to lose that.
No, and that's a shame. Because I've always felt if you do the right thing,
Right.
it's going to work out. At some point, you made the choice to use your platform to speak out on human rights. What was the turning point for you when you realized you needed to be a voice on these issues?
Right. So when they put my dad in jail, that was the turning point that I was like, you know what? I gotta speak up because my dad is not only one. There are hundreds of thousands of political prisoners around the world waiting to be helped. And I have a platform. God gave me a huge platform. So I need to use that platform to be the voice of all those innocent people out there who don't have a voice, you know? So while I was playing basketball in America and living my best life, on the other side of the world, people are losing their loved ones, losing their lives, and losing their homes, you know? So I was like, this is that platform is given me by God, so I gotta do God's work to give back to those people who don't have a voice.
Well, you know, life's a matter of choices, Enes.
Right.
Whatever happened to you, good or bad, because of choices you made.
Right.
But you had a difficult choice. It's not only about doing what's right, it's about your family,
Yeah.
being separated from them, and I know how important that is.
You know, people are keep talking about me losing my NBA career because of the things that I talked about, but that was nothing compared to me losing my family, you know? So I think if you want to stand up for things and if you want to make a real change, you have to make some sacrifices. Unfortunately, my career and my family had to be some of those sacrifices. I know it's tough. I know it takes a lot, but I mean, it is bigger than what I'm talking about is bigger than myself, bigger than basketball, and bigger than NBA.
I know this, that you've had a lot of persecution, you've had a lot of obstacles. What is the biggest thing that you've learned from all this?
The biggest thing I have learned is you got to stand up for the truth, even if it means sacrificing everything you love and everything you have. Because there are millions of kids out there idolizing you and want to be like you. So I think the biggest thing I learned to inspire all those kids out there to look up to you.
His horizons were bigger than just being a basketball player. You know, you got to talk about him as a human being who is not afraid to tell the truth, to stand his ground, to put a line in the sand and saying, I'm not caring about what I'm giving up. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to be the right guy, and I'm going to say the right things and tell you what I truly believe. That's who he is. He's always been that.
Without sacrifice, there's no achievement. Someone have to make some kind of sacrifices so our future can have a better and brighter kids. We have to educate and inspire our young generation.
Is he doing it for name recognition? Is he doing it to get clicks and eyeballs? And no, he's not. He's doing it for real reasons. And he's willing to put everything on the line, which he has.
And so stand for truth, stand for freedom, even if it means sacrificing everything you love.
Have you ever had any doubts about the choices you made?
Never, because I know I am inspiring millions of kids out there, millions of Americans and millions of people around the world, especially my Turkish community. So someone had to make some kind of sacrifices so others lives a better life.
Well, can you share some of the persecutions that you and your family have experienced since your choice to speak out?
Yes, I mean, right now my family cannot even go on the streets freely. You know, they harass them all the time, and especially the governments, you know. And also my name is on Interpol list, so I can only travel to 29 countries in the world. And if I travel any other countries around the world other than that 29 countries, then there is a high chance that I could get deported back to Turkey.
Does it worry you? Do you lie awake at night? How do you handle this? I mean, that's tremendous pressure.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it is a big pressure, but at the end of the night, I know I picked morals, values, and principles over money and business. So at nights, I do go to sleep in peace.
Oh, that's great. You've paved the way for athletes to use their voices in powerful ways. But often this comes with backlash, especially from major sports institutions.
Right.
In your view, why do you think the sports industry often resistance to athletes speaking out, and what needs to change about this?
I think the hypocrisy needs to change. Like, for example, NBA, right? 4 years ago, the NBA took us to this thing called NBA bubble. And NBA itself, the commissioner, Adam Silver, himself said, this is all about social justice. We don't even care about if you guys play basketball or not. Talk about the problems that are happening in America. So, I mean, obviously, as a foreigner, I don't even know what's going on in America. So I see all these people taking knees, and I see all these people, making these comments. I was like, well, in America, you have a freedom of speech, right? But 4 years later, when I started to criticize Chinese government for their human rights violations, NBA was silenced, and they blackballed me. So I was like, when it comes to problems that are happening in America, that you guys want us to speak up, because it's not going to affect, your pocket, your wallet. But when it comes to China, just because of you guys are making billions of dollars, you guys want us to shut up and dribble the basketball. This is pure hypocrisy.
I agree with you completely, where money becomes more important than principle. And that's not what made this country great. Now, what are your recent initiatives, which is the Abrahamic Accords Basketball School? It's a powerful example of sports uniting people from different backgrounds. Tell us a little bit more about this and how it got started.
So, unfortunately, as you see, we have lots of problems that are happening in our world, especially in the Middle East. Just because of people don't know the other side, without knowing the other side, they are hating on each other. So I want to use sports to bring people together from different backgrounds, colors, religion, culture, because basketball, especially sports, have an amazing power to bring people together.
I can see no better way than celebrating by bringing together Jewish and Muslim kids to play basketball together.
I think the one thing we try to do today is leave our differences outside of basketball and come in here and talk one language, is basketball. And kids were unbelievable. They had so much fun. And I think one thing we try to do is build bridges. That's the most important thing. Build the bridges, build the peace and love bridges. And I think these kids have some amazing future, because they're going to be the one that building our future. So with those kids, we're going to have a better and brighter future. So I'm really excited to be part of this organization, and I would love to definitely come back next year and do this all over again. So what I do right now is I go around the world and I bring kids together from different religions, especially those Abrahamic religions, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and blacks, whites. I don't care who you are. You can come to this basketball camp and you can enjoy your time. And then after the basketball camp, with kids, we are having these uncomfortable conversations with one and each other, So we have Muslims sitting with Christians, Christians sitting with Jews, Jews sitting with blacks and whites, and we are discussing what can we do to make this world better together, because we only have one world to live. So we need to make this world better together, and that's the key word, together. So I'm using basketball as a tool to reach out to these communities, bringing them together, having fun. We are having free pizza, and then after that, kids love that part the most. And then after that, we are having these uncomfortable conversations.
How's it going?
It's going amazing, actually. Right now, we are started to open up these camps in Greece, France. Soon we'll be in Germany, obviously in America. We had one in Jerusalem. Actually, we had this one basketball camp in Jerusalem where I brought Israelis and Palestinians together. That was the most craziest basketball camp. Many people said don't do it, because they said they're not going to play basketball, they're going to fight. But I was like, you know what? I want to take that chance. So we did it, and I see this Palestinians and Israelis didn't want to shake hands in the beginning of the camp, and towards the end, they were exchanging numbers, they were following each other on Instagram.
See, it's like anything else. Get to know the other
Exactly.
individual.
You know, actually, I remember one Palestinian girl and one Israeli boy was talking. They were apologizing from each other and saying, sorry, I just didn't know that you were just this cool.
That
You know?
gives you a lot of
Oh my
satisfaction
God.
to see that
So
progress.
that's what I'm telling people, I think sports is an amazing tool to bring people together and we need to use more often.
The decision to change your last name to Freedom is bold and symbolical.
Right.
What inspired you to make this change? And what inspired you to become an American citizen? And how much difficulty did you have in accomplishing this?
Right, so it's actually a very funny story because back in 2009, I came to America for play basketball, so I attended a high school, right? And after the basketball practice, we were just sitting in a locker room and having fun and talking and stuff. And I see one of my teammates where he was criticizing the president of America. So I immediately turned around, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He said, what happened? I was like, well, I just saw your post. You were criticizing the president. And he was like, okay. I was like, well, you might be in jail tomorrow. And they all started to laugh. They said, dude, this is not Turkey, this is America. I was like, what do you mean? They said, well, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression in America. Just because of you like the government or you hate the president, you're not gonna be in jail if you put your, thoughts out there. So literally step by step, my high school teammates, my college teammates, and my NBA teammates, they were explaining to me what America is all about. So it was so beautiful. I wanted to become a part of this beautiful country. And I passed my test. And when I passed my test, the lady asked me, well, congratulations, you're now an American citizen. If you want, you can add or change your name or your last name. At that moment, I just had a flashback. I just remembered like the everything I've been through. I was like, I want to put that word freedom behind my jersey and go play at every arena and inspire millions of kids out there. And I finally changed it. I put that word behind my jersey, and every arena that I went on to play basketball, and I see all these people were chanting freedom. So you can call me Mr. Freedom. I was like, this is so beautiful. This is the best name that you can adopt.
Oh, there's no doubt. What was your reaction when you became a citizen?
So just because of, Turkish government revoked my passport, I literally didn't have a home for 6 years. I was kind of like a stateless, homeless. And when I became an American citizen, the first sentence I said was, wow, I finally have a home. I finally have a family. That was probably the greatest day of my life because I finally have a place where I can call home, So.
Do you stay in touch with some of your teammates at Kentucky?
I do actually. We've been through a lot together, and they helped me grow. They helped me understand America. They helped me understand the American lifestyle. So they are like more than my teammates. They're like my brothers.
What's unfortunate, Enes, is a lot of people in this country don't understand what freedom's all about.
I'll give you an example. So after I become a citizen, right, I was playing for Boston Celtics. I literally think it's the team of America because of the history, because of
yes.
Larry Bird, and because of, all this
The parquet floor?
Exactly. I walked in a locker room after I became a citizen, and I had this T-shirt which I had like American flag on my T-shirt, and I was just so happy. And I remember one of my teammates said, "Why are you so happy?" I was like, "Well, because I just became a citizen." And I heard they were having conversations with one and each other about, they were saying how horrible America is. America's so trash. Oh my God, this is disgusting, and we need to get out of here. I was like, guys, listen, our season is about to be over. And whenever our season is over, I'm gonna pay your ticket, first class ticket, don't worry. Let's go to some of these countries out there. Let's go to China. Let's go to Russia. Let's go to Iran. Let's go to Turkey. Let's go to North Korea. Forget about criticizing them. Forget about calling them trash. You say anything against those governments or those authoritarian regimes, you and your family member will be in jail and tortured to death. So sometimes when people don't know the other side, they just think America is horrible. America has a lot of things that she needs to work on, but we are not Iran. We are not China. We are not Russia. You should feel blessed to be in a situation like America.
I've traveled all over this world.
Exactly. You
and
know
there's
better.
a greater feeling
Right.
than coming back to the United States.
Exactly.
And you're right. There are
Exactly.
certain things we have to improve upon, we will. Now, Enes, the theme of the show is coaching America back to greatness. What do you believe needs to be done to restore the culture of this country? Because I've seen it change. I'm an old man. I'm 88.
Right.
I've seen it change. I can't tell you how many freedoms we've lost since I was born.
You know, America, like I said, is great, but America needs a lot of work to do, you know? I think the one thing that it just really breaks my heart is whenever I turn on TVs, you know, one side is attacking the other side is attacking another side. It breaks my heart because we only have one America, and somehow we need to figure it out to bring people together so we can work on this beautiful country and so we can make it better together, you know? It breaks my heart whenever I see this, that people are so divided. People literally hate on each other because of different values, different thinking system, I guess. But somehow we need to come together to make this country better.
I understand completely. And I've seen the changes over the 70
Right.
plus years that I started following life. And let me tell you why we have such great disagreement, which we did 50 years ago. Because the Republicans and the Democrats
Right.
50 years ago had the same objective. Keep the country free,
Yep.
give people a chance to be successful. However, now the objectives are different between the two organizations. And that is why
Right.
we do not have the togetherness, because as long as you have the same objective, we don't have a problem. We might have a disagreement on how to get it done, but a problem is when you have two different objectives, and that's where we are right now, and we got to get back. But I'll tell you this, I've been doing this show, I don't know, for maybe 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm not a professional at it, and we've had over 80 million hits on it.
Beautiful.
But the reason that we do this show is because of people like you.
Oh, I appreciate
We're glad
that.
we
That definitely
gave
means
you a
lot.
chance to share your story with people, and I hope it inspires them as much as it's inspired me. So
That
thank
means a
you
lot.
for being
Thank
here.
you, Coach.
God
I
bless
appreciate
you.
that. Thank you.
And he walks away after winning his 100th game as the head coach here at Notre Dame.
The reason I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, I was born in this country. It isn't what you have, it's what you're taught about the values of life.
We trying to save souls.
So there's a rule in life that said you're either growing or you're dying.
And like an old friend once said, we as Americans need to start winning again.
Everyone should ask this question. Am I willing to endure the pain and the suffering and the sacrifice it takes to be a champion?